Welcome back, dear viewers. Thank you for staying with us here on Nile Cruise, coming to you from the Coptic Cathedral in Abbasiyah. Religious tourism is one of the most robust niches of the market, especially here in Egypt, dear viewers. Egypt being the owner of a great number of historical religious sites that attract the followers of the world's three monotheistic faiths for millennia. This kind of special travel hardly suffers any losses from regional instabilities because once these tourists have decided to come, usually nothing makes them change their mind. The religious tourism is an underexploited niche that, given the right circumstances, could really be a big boost to Egypt's key tourism industry in the view of many experts. We have the great pleasure of hosting with us here on Nile Cruise Mr. Emad Nicola, member of the Chamber of Tourism. Thank you very much, Mr. Nicola. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Mr. Nicola, it's a pleasure to have you with us in today's episode of Nile Cruise. And of course, we kick off and start off with a very important question is what are Egypt's chances to occupy a leading position among religious tourism? And here we're discussing religious tourism, not tourism in general, because tourism in general is doing a very good, under the auspices of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, is doing a great job nowadays in Egypt, of course, and it's starting to start to get back on track again.
Actually, we do have a significant share of the religious tourism. We hope it will be even bigger, even better, but it needs some little more work to do to get the full share that we need to take. This improvements that need to be done is within the areas where the people is going to do the religious visits. Because these areas are really old and historical, usually it is put within very common residential areas. So we need, so when you go to visit there, you don't really feel comfortable moving around. We need to improve these areas to get people visiting there and to get the reputation that we needed to spread worldwide, that to people to come and see. We have a treasure when it comes to religious tourism. Where else in the world can you find areas where Jesus and Mary have been staying for almost 4 years, half of Egypt, visiting half of Egypt. And there is a stamp of their visits everywhere they went. And when you go to Upper Egypt, up till Wadi Natrun, all these areas, there is a mark that left by the Holy Family in each and every place they go. We need these marked areas to be improved to get the right impression from the visitors in these areas. But let me tell you, even with the situation that we have right now,
COVID-19?
No, I mean situation of the sites.
Okay.
We're still getting very big numbers of religious. Two reasons for that. First, the significance of the places. Nowhere else, except in Jerusalem. And the second is, when you come to the Middle East, from Brazil, from Australia, and you float 18 hours, 19 hours, you don't want to do Egypt and go back. You don't want to do Jordan and go back. So people usually do the combined tourism.
Yes.
Holy Land, Israel or Palestine, Jordan, and Egypt. And that's a 21 days trip, minimum of 14 days trip to follow these steps. So if the people went to Jerusalem to make the visits and they have Egypt just around the corner, let's do Egypt. So people, they come. For whatever the case, people come. But we need it to be the attraction of the trip, not the completion of the trip. So at the moment, yes, the government is working on it. There is a lot of areas have been improved, dramatically improved. We start with Old Cairo. I mean, the old churches in Old Cairo and the mosque and the synagogue of the Jewish there, the area became excellent comparing to a few years back. And step by step, I guess things will go to the right direction.
Right, Mr. Nicola, so you may try to make it the attraction for us for our viewers by telling us the elements of religious tourism in Egypt, or the places tourists, religious tourists should visit when they come to Egypt, of course concerning again the three monotheistic religions.
Because Egypt actually is the beginning of everything. We are the beginning even for the monotheism, starting from Akhenaten up till Islam. So along the years, we have, when you think about religious, first thing comes to your mind is Egypt. Where else? Even the old gods of pharaohs were invented here, nowhere else. And then people start to know that there is something called religion to do. So we have the monument for everything. We have the history for everything. Starting from Akhenaten and his beliefs that the Aton, the one God, is the God of the sun, coming to the Judaism, when we have the St. Catherine mountain, and we have all the stories about the Moses within Egypt, and then comes the Christianity, and we have the first church in Africa, the hanging church in Old Cairo. We have Al-Maharra, the monastery Al-Maharra in Asyut. This is a piece of history by itself. It has the hand of Jesus stamped there in the stone. And so you leave the Christianity, you go to Islamic sites. We have everything, Al-Hussein, Al-Azhar. So when it comes to religion, nobody beats Egypt, actually. We have it all. We have everything about it. So when you ask me about what should people come and see in Egypt, they see everything. Enough if they visited the old Cairo. They will have the three religions in one place. Yes. There is nowhere else in the world. Yes. When you find Judaism, Christianity, Islam in 1 square kilometer area, and all nothing less than 1,200 years old. Where else in the world? Nothing. Yes. Yeah.
Sir, Christian pilgrims who usually visit Egypt as part of a wider Holy Land tour of Israel, Jordan and Palestine territories, how far the regional instabilities affected this kind of tours, and what are your suggestions to promote religious tourism?
The promotion, we already talked about it when we said that we need to improve the sites. Where is the...
improve the sites, sir, or focus on the sites?
Improve the sites.
Improve.
Yes, we need, as I told you, most of there are 19 sites. Let's say 15 out of the 19 need to be improved.
Because they lie, as you mentioned, in heavily populated areas.
Exactly. So we need privacy for these areas, cleanery, and more specifically to show where is the St. Mary tree in Matarea. If you go there 2 years ago, you wouldn't have the chance to see it well. Now you can. Matarea is changed, and the area and the tree is. This is a 2,000 years old tree. How can we not promote it all over the world? Come on. St. Mary sat here beside this tree, and it's never died. 2,000 years. So we need to show this to the people. Where else in the world where Mother Mary showed over her church for 3 months in 1969. Nowhere in the world. St. Mary showed for 3 months consecutive daily
Zaytun?
Zaytun. This is, in Bulgaria or I guess it was Bulgaria, I'm not sure. They have 2 kids that thought they saw St. Mary and talked to the people about what she talked to them about. Thought they saw. It's a big issue, and hotels and everybody comes from all over the world to see the area where the kids sit about. We have St. Mary herself for 3 months, the whole world seen it. How can't we promote this to the world and people come to have the spiritual feeling of the place where St. Mary was here? So,
Right.
So we actually do have a treasure, as I said before.
Right, absolutely. So Egypt indeed aims to incorporate, Mr. Nicola, the trip by the Holy Family into the global religious tourism map. Are we moving fast enough in this? Are we already there? I mean, the Holy Family trip, is it already there on the international map? And if not, are we moving fast enough to do it?
It is already there. The Pope already mentioned it. The Pope of Rome,
Vatican.
yes, the Vatican, and they confirmed that this is a holy site that Christians, Catholic should visit it if they get the chance. So yes, it is globally. It's recognized, and for us, we are working on it. We need to push it a little bit further, to as I said, to make it a realistic fact. Like, when you go to Athens to visit the Acropolis, wherever you go in Athens, there is always a sign saying the Acropolis is that way. Isn't it true? All right, we need to do that about the Holy Family trip. Wherever we go, there should be a sign. There should be a place marked. Here she passed. Here she stayed.
What about domestic tourism? Are we working on that? Because I'm sure it's important for Egyptians, be it Copts or Muslims, students, youngsters, to know about this, to know about their heritage.
It is. For locals, it's working very well.
Good.
Yes,
good.
Because local knows it by heart. If you talk to any Coptic and he says, you go to Muharra, oh yeah, I'll go to Muharra.
No, I mean even even Muslims. I
Muslims
mean,
go
they would
there.
be interested to
Listen,
visit.
my friends
Yes.
are all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sir, this is what I took. I started asking the question from
Yes,
Mohammed.
Rana.
Egypt's Islamic sites are attracted not only by Muslims but also by Coptics and Christians here in Egypt, which are tourists. But also the non-Muslims are very keen to see and watch the Muslim sites. What, in your opinion, sir, is the non-Muslim attracted to in the Islamic sites?
What is
The non-Muslims,
Non-Muslims.
or the Copts,
Of course,
or
it's the
or the
history.
people that come from abroad, the Christians, normal Christians.
Listen, one of the classical tourists visits that they come to Egypt is part of it is Islamic Cairo, where you go to the fortress, the Al-Ala, and the Muhammad Ali Mosque.
And the Muhammad Ali Mosque,
and then when you go down
in the
to
citadel.
Al-Shafi'i Mosque and Ibn Tulun Mosque, these are part of our classical
And
tours.
Al-Mu'azz Street and Al-Hussein, of course. So they're going around watching Egypt as the cradle of civilization.
And when we look at it now, we don't look at it as if Christians or non-Christian Muslim or non-Muslim goes there. It's a heritage now, regardless the religion. People wants to come and see it. People wants to come and see a mosque that 1,200 years old. That's
Beautiful architecture.
and the history. When you sit down at home, think about Islam comes to Egypt, and you go to Amr ibn al-As Mosque. Here, is the first stone of the Islam in Egypt. So actually you touch the history by your own hands. Yeah.
And Cairo is the city of a thousand minarets. So, would you shed more lights, Mr. Nicola, on the most significant mosques in Cairo? Of course, there's also Sultan Hassan Mosque, I guess. Not only in Cairo, but across Egypt, I guess, in Alexandria, in Zazi, I guess many. Many
Well,
of
the Alexandria and Zazi will be much locally than tourism. But in Cairo, we have all mentioned it right now, all of us. Yeah, so
Tanta, I forgot to mention Tanta as well. And others.
these are very
Kafr
local.
Sheikh, yeah.
These are not tourism, but they are famous. Yes, they are famous. People ask me sometimes about it. What's Said Badawi?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Said Badawi
Ibrahim
is
al-Dasuqi.
yeah, and Abu Abbas.
Yeah, of course, Alexandria. So,
Sir, so am
yes,
I
Rana,
interrupting
please.
you as
No,
usual?
go ahead, Rana.
Sir, anyone, of course, that has spent Ramadan in Egypt knows that it has a unique taste, and Ramadan in Egypt does have a unique taste. What are the most attractive places tourists should be visiting during the holy month of Ramadan, sir?
The Ramadan in Egypt is exceptional.
Yes, it's very different,
It
yes,
is.
in every means.
Because of what I do in tourism, I visit a lot of Arab countries. And I have nothing, I never found a similar atmosphere that the ones we have in Ramadan. Everything. Starting from the man calling for fool in the street.
No, and the Masaharati that wakes up to take our the meal that we're supposed to be taking before
it's the same.
Fajr,
That's
I mean,
what
he's
I'm
talking about
saying.
the sound in the
And,
street.
Exactly.
the idea, sir, that it's 24/7, day and night, people are awake during the holy month of Ramadan.
Exactly.
We don't sleep here in Egypt. It's always a noisy country. It's fun. It's not like any
It
country in
is.
the world,
Yes,
because
that's
if
what
you
I'm
go to
saying,
any
yeah.
country in the world, when it's Ramadan, then there's nothing especially that you do over there. Go and visit your friends. But here in Ramadan, you're in the streets all the time.
Exactly, that's what I was saying. I've visited all the Arab countries.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it was during Ramadan, preparing for the coming Eid, for the tourism to come to Egypt. So I've seen it all. Nothing like Egypt. We are a community that loves each other, loves to be around every incident. So I'm not gonna skip suhoor. I have to be awake for suhoor. I'm not gonna leave. Our friends is coming for iftar, so I have to be there ready by 3.
We're very active socially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we love people.
Yeah.
Whatever the nationality is.
Yes.
The hospitality, sir, the means that we meet people,
That's
we
what
meet tourists.
We need also to implement more, invest more in this area, because most of the tourists, when they go back, when you ask them what is the best you've seen in
people.
Egypt, they say the people.
Mr. Nicola, how can we attract new markets and open new gates for the markets that we are already dealing with, again, regarding religious tourism specifically?
Well, let me generalize this point a little
Please.
bit. The experience of the past 3 months we had, just the past 3 months, make it clear for all of us who works in the travel industry that we should be now start to focus on the quality of the tourists coming to Egypt more than the quantity. Our capacity of...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but why did you say the last 3 months?
Because end of September, October, November was excellent. Our hotels were full
Very good.
everywhere.
Great.
So now the room that we used to sell for, say, $100 during the pandemic, it was accepted to be sold at $1,000 in November. Same room. So
People are thirsty after the COVID-19.
exactly. And not
lockdown.
only this, demand for Egypt is huge. We only have to absorb that, take it. So our capacity when it comes to rooms and infrastructure is limited. So when you have a demand, you should go and target whoever pays more. So that's a better income for the country, better income for those who works in the travel industry. So our even in the past 2 weeks, we had a large meeting with some ministers, including our Minister of Tourism and Antiquities. That we were talking about this subject, that what are we going to do when things back to normal? Our capacity is limited. We need to increase the number of rooms, increase the buses, cars, everything. Even the time for visits in the sites has to be increased because the demand is huge.
It's great to hear.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Sir, and from here we have to thank, of course, Dr. Khalid Anani, the Minister of course, Tourism and Antiquities, for the tremendous effort he's been making throughout the past months, of course, under the auspices of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Of course, the opening of the Sphinx Avenue, the Ramp Road, many museums in Sharm el-Sheikh and in Hurghada were inaugurated.
The Mummies Parade back
the
in
Mummies
April.
Parade, and we're still looking forward to the gem at the Grand
Yeah, of
Egyptian
course.
Museum and its opening, which the entire world witnessed Egypt and put Egypt in a rank, of course, which made us as Egyptians very proud. So from here, he is worth all, of course, thank, of course, under the auspices and directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi.
You know, you just reminded me of something that always when in my interviews with the TV channels, they ask me, what should we do to attract tourists to Egypt? And I used to say a lot of things, but I've never imagined that the Mummies Parade and Luxor Sphinx Road,
amazing, the Ramp Road, the renovation
they
of the...
have boosted the demand for Egypt.
Exactly.
Wow.
Tremendously.
Sir, and it's worth to mention also the Namek Museum in Fustat in Old Cairo, of, the National Museum, the National Museum of Civilization. Of course, it's an amazing
And
museum,
imagine what
and
will
it's
happen when the grand opening of the Grand Museum.
exactly
I
no.
guess.
This is another category that we're
Look
going to
at
be.
that. Imagine what will
The Sphinx Avenue and the renovation of the Ramp Road. In itself was a move to another category in the tourism, in the world of tourism in Egypt, and the way it was presented actually, and the way everything, it was amazing. We as Egyptians were influenced, and we as Egyptians want to go to Luxor and watch what happened over there and the temples and everything over there. So what about tourists?
My comment about this was that it's the first time that the pharaohs should be proud of their sons.
Yes.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
It's also worth to mention that when we inaugurated the Suez Canal, of course, when President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi...
The new Suez Canal, you mean?
Yes, the new Suez Canal.
2015.
I remember very well that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi made the opening in a year, and he said, I'm doing this for all the Egyptians to know that Egyptians will remain pharaohs all the time. And it was a very important quotation that he did say during his speech that day.
Actually, because we always sit and be proud of our pharaohs' ancestors.
Yes.
Now, if they look at us, thank you guys for
You're
reading
back again.
to
You're
us.
back again on track, because it was supposed to take 3 years, and then President Fattah al-Sisi decided that it will get done in a year, and it was done, and then he said it.
Just in 2 words, we are lucky, very lucky.
To have President
To have
Fattah
Sisi.
al-Sisi, we do have, we are. I really.
Imagine if we didn't have this man. And
We don't
over
want
our
to
heads.
imagine otherwise, because
You can't imagine.
of course
we were
under-
going.
He worked on the international level. He worked on the tourism, the touristic level. He worked on
Work on the road I
on
take to my
landscape
home.
here in Egypt. He worked
Everything.
everywhere. He worked everything.
And let me add to that, our minister, the Minister of Tourism,
Dr. Khalid Anani.
Khalid Anani, is the first minister we are the old people of tourism, think that we do now have a minister.
He is worth all respect, sir.
Yes.
So, yes, he is.
We do, first time since 20, 30 years, since I can't remember his name, it was 22 years old, years ago, we had a very good minister, and now, skip the
Dr.
22
Mamdouh
years.
Biltagi.
And Biltagi, yes.
Of course. Rana,
this final note, Mohammed.
yeah, we have
Dr.
to end
Mohammed
it.
Biltagi,
We have to
where
end
we
it
ended,
here. Yeah.
and today we have, of course, Minister Khaled Anani, which is our worth, of course, all pride and respect. And
Sure,
we thank you so
sure.
much, sir, for joining
Thank you,
us.
Mr. Emad, Nicola. Great pleasure. Thank you.
Mr. Emad, thank you for joining us in today's very special episode of Nile Cruise. We wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us, and it's always a pleasure to be with us. And thank you for your informative knowledge, sir.
Thank you.
Dear viewers, you're still watching Nile Cruise on Nile TV. Stay tuned. We're here at the Cathedral in Abbasiyah, bringing you a very exclusive episode of Nile Cruise, celebrating, of course, with our Copts brothers here in Egypt, the Merry Christmas and the Happy New Year.